Okay, let's do this one last time. No, your brain isn't tricking you. This is in fact a re-upload of yesterday's video. Yesterday I uploaded a review of Superman, but Warner Bros. Claimed the whole video and just nuked any traction the video was getting. Originally I took it down and just said that I'll take it on the chin and I'll just do better next time. But that video took a whole day to edit. My whole Sunday was spent editing that video, and the thought of not having it out there after all that work just made me really mad. So I'm re-uploading it without any clips from the movie, even though all I was showing were clips from the trailer, and I at least thought it was fair use, but according to Warner Bros. It's not. So this is the same review as last time, if you've seen it already, but it's just gonna have Arkham gameplay with a Superman outfit to fit the occasion. This wasn't my original vision on how I wanted the video to look. It's unfortunate, it sucks that this wasn't the final product I was wanting, but you gotta do what you gotta do. I'll link the original review in the description. It's unlisted if you want to see the original one with the accompanying clips, but other than that, I guess this is the Daviboye cut of that video, so enjoy. So I just got home from watching Superman, and guys, I am here to tell you, we are so back. Now I'm gonna be real with you guys for a moment. Most people in my personal life know me as the Spider-Man guy. I've seen every movie, I've played every game, the character just means everything to me. And my knowledge of other heroes varies, okay? You can call me fake, you can call me a fraud. I think my second favorite might be Daredevil, but for the most part, my superhero interest usually lies in Marvel. And for DC, my most familiar hero is Batman, obviously, but again, that's pretty basic. I've seen all those movies and played the games as well, but DC never quite hooked me to any of their other heroes. And that includes Superman. Now I'm serious, going into this movie was a gamble because I knew zilch, absolutely nothing about Superman. Other than his alter ego is Clark Kent, he's dating Lois Lane, and Lex Luthor is his biggest hater. Now I don't know if this discredits me from being qualified enough to talk about this movie, but whatever, it's my channel, I can do whatever I want. But I was nervous going into this movie for two things. At first I was nervous because I know nothing about Superman, so this will be my first impression of his story. The second thing is, I found out James Gunn did not want to retell the Superman origin story again. So this movie takes place 3 years into his tenure as Superman. Now I get wanting to be done with origin stories. We don't need to see Bruce Wayne's parents being killed anymore. I've seen Uncle Ben die more times than I've had girlfriends, so I get that we don't need to revisit origin stories. But damn bro, this might have been one that I would have liked to see. But honestly, as a first time viewer, it was perfectly fine. This movie starts off with a title crawl that gives you bite-sized bits of lore from this universe. It tells you when Superman landed on Earth as a baby, it tells you when he actually started being Superman, and it tells you about a war that he intervened in and how he just lost that war. But we never actually see it, and we never hear anything meaningful about it after the fact. And while I thought it would have been really cool to see, I didn't really mind it. I admit I am not well versed in Superman at all, so this video is strictly from the perspective of a normie who just wanted to go to the movies to see a new superhero flick. And there's probably going to be spoilers in this video, so there's your heads up. But I really liked the movie. I just love how charming it is. I'm so glad superhero movies have been getting better at this. I remember a lot of them tried to take themselves too seriously. Apart from some exceptions, they just kept trying to ground them like too hard because maybe general audiences won't like them otherwise. But this world is wacky, it has whimsy. Crazy stuff goes down in this world, and you'll see some people just stand to the side and just try to record on their phone, or some people even stay at their job and keep working because this is just another Tuesday for them. After watching that movie, I envy Superman fans who saw this movie for the first time, because it must feel so good seeing an adaptation as amazing as this one. Superman is the embodiment, the symbol of all things good, and I'm glad this movie didn't make an attempt to make him cross a line just for drama's sake, or make him act out of character just to service a plot in the story. Even when faced with new information that shakes him to his core, he still makes it clear that all he wants to do is help people. Even when the people that he chooses to protect hate him, he will still be there for them. And it's so hard not to love that. This is my Superman, hands down. I know this is the only one I've seen and I have nothing to compare it to, but the bar has just been set, and it is set high. I never got tired of seeing this man. His desire to do good was never destructive, and I was rooting for him the whole time. Superman is so charming and so funny without even trying to be. I'm so traumatized, primarily because of Marvel, with superheroes engaging in stand-up comedy for half of their screen time. But here, Superman, just by his charisma alone, you just can't help but smile anytime he quips or reacts to something. I love how compassionate Superman is with everyone. I love how he cares about every form of life there is around him. When a giant monster is terrorizing the city and endangering everyone, any other hero, they would want to kill it for good, no ifs, ands, or buts. But Superman, he wants to keep it alive, to at least study it, and he gets agitated and upset after the fact when the creature dies. When I saw Superman feel for and mourn the loss of a robot servant of his, I sat back in my seat like, yep, this is why we're here. Superman's love for helping people is just so infectious. So much of this movie is Superman flying around, catching falling buildings, catching anything that's going to crush people, and just overall saving the day. This Superman is so efficient at saving people that he even has the time to save a squirrel, and that's what I like to see. Actually show me the superhero saving average Joes. Show me the public cheering for him. A big issue I have with other superhero movies is that a lot of the time it's the hero versus the big bad, and that's the whole story. There's not very many casual civilian saves in the bigger superhero movies these days. Sometimes they'll save a moment like that for a big set piece, but that's about it. But this is a world where Superman is loved and he's adored. You can tell that Superman has saved this city so many times and the people are forever grateful. You can feel the admiration. This world feels lived in. It has so much personality. This is a world where you can have a regular person like Lois Lane being caught in a protective bubble, seeing Mr. Terrific do backflips off of bad guys and blast them with aerial drones, and flying on a levitating chair, and she just thinks it's cool. She's not in shock and in awe in how this technology can even exist. Even the supporting characters were really good here. There wasn't a time where a character was on screen and I was begging for the scene to wrap up. I know Lois Lane has been criticized a lot in past adaptations for being just a plot device for Clark and not really being her own individual person, but at least to me, this movie nails it. Lois Lane was engaging to watch in every scene, even if Clark wasn't there. And I know most of her scenes alone were still about Clark and talking about him, but I'm mainly talking about an actor being watchable on screen and not being boring without another character being there to bounce energy off of. I also really liked Jimmy's character. I thought he was really funny without even trying to be. I liked the running gag that he just effortlessly pulls every girl in his vicinity without even trying. He honestly looks uncomfortable about it half the time. There weren't many jokes in this movie that structure the punchline the way Marvel does, where they'll say a joke and then sit in silence to give the audience time to laugh. This movie is just constantly going, and that's what I liked. Even the inclusion of the Justice Gang I thought was very fun. I feel like James Gunn, with his experience with the Guardians movies and the Suicide Squad, he really knows how to stuff a bunch of characters in a movie and not have them feel sidelined. He makes every character feel special and gives them all moments to shine and steal the show. There were many times after scenes with particular characters where I thought to myself like, man, I really want to see more of them. And it wasn't because I felt that they were underutilized and I wanted more, but it's because this is my first impression of these guys and I like them so much where I genuinely want to go out of my way to seek out more stories involving these characters, to see more of them. This movie had one central end goal to get to, but there were so many hurdles and so many different kinds of obstacles for the characters to face where it felt like you were watching almost bite-sized superhero side stories throughout the film. We visited different locations like pocket universes. We get introduced to characters that are there to serve Clark or other characters for that small bit of the story, and it was just super wacky and I loved it. But I can't talk about characters that I liked and wacky moments in the film without mentioning Lex Luthor. Now, I'm gonna be real with you guys. I said this before, I knew nothing about Superman, so 70% of the reason I watched this movie was because of Lex right here. I would not stop seeing reels and tweets about the generational hater performance this guy brings. And I thought it was a bit hyperbolic. I thought they were overhyping it like social media always does. But the streets were not lying. I think there were maybe one or maybe two scenes where Lex was having a normal conversation where he wasn't hating on Superman. Literally everything else, almost every bit of screen time where Lex is on, he is giving a masterclass of hating. There's a scene in the Pocket Universe with Lex where he's trying to bait Superman, and I don't have any footage of this scene and I don't want to spoil what happens, but just by showing this image right here, you'll know what scene this is. But it was after this moment where I look at my friend and I tell him, oh my god, this man is as evil as it gets. There were zero redeeming qualities for Lex Luthor, and that is what I want to see. Superhero movies lately have been trying to make villains we can empathize with or villains we can root for. You know, you have Thanos, you have Wanda, you can throw Namor in there as well. You even have the Riddler, who is an orphan and wants the rich to pay for their sins. And none of those characters or performances were bad, they're just as captivating 100%. But Lex, you don't have a childhood story on him for this movie. You don't get too much lore on him. This man is just evil for the love of the game, and you gotta respect it. But as funny and chaotic as this movie is, there are also a lot of moments where the pace slows down to have our characters talk to one another, primarily Superman, about his purpose in life. Because Superman gets new information revealed to him that very much changes his life. What he thought he knew wasn't 100%. And with that, you have moments that breathe and play out of Lois or his father telling him that he is who he wants to be. He doesn't need to act on this new information he was just presented with. He doesn't have to be something that he's not. He loves serving humanity, and there's no reason to change that. There is a 12-minute scene of Superman and Lois fighting about the decision of Superman choosing to intervene in a war going on outside of Metropolis. And they were arguing on whether it was right or wrong. And Superman, his view was that he just didn't want people to die. That's his whole purpose. And Lois thought it was wrong to intervene in something that wasn't his business. And it's this long scene of just two people talking. A year to maybe 5 years ago, people would crucify you for making a superhero movie where there's 10 minutes of no jokes or action and it's just people yapping. But this scene was so effective and engaging. I said it was 12 minutes, but it honestly felt like half of that. And the scene with Pa Kent and Clark sitting outside got me a little misty-eyed, I can't lie. And I'm so glad that these moments sit for a while. I'm glad they're not rushed. I'm glad there are no jokes to break the serious tone. Clark just got told some life-altering information. This isn't the time for comedy, and I'm glad the movie respected that. Overall, I'm really happy with this movie. I liked it a lot. There were so many moments in this movie, so many shots where I just turned to my friend and we just look at each other like, oh yeah, this is what it's all about. This movie is a reminder that superhero fatigue isn't real. We just want actual good movies. I knew almost nothing about Superman and these other characters in the movie and a majority of the rest of DC. But this movie makes me want to actually see more. I want to watch the animated series now. I want to go read new comics. There's been a running joke online that after watching the Superman movie, people want to finally live. They want to be better people. They want to do good around them. And internet meme or not, if this movie even gave them the thought of wanting to be better people, then I feel like that's as Superman as it can get. I'm of the belief that you can tell a movie was really good and that its message really left an impact in your life when you see the world around you differently after you walk out of the theater. Me and my friends watched this movie at a theme park, and after the movie there were many times where people were either lost around me or people needed help carrying something or needed something picked up, and after I helped them, I would turn to my friend and be like, hey, you saw that? I just made their day a little better. And then I would start humming the Superman theme. But even when I'm joking about it, the message and its themes are still stuck with me, and that's honestly the best feeling after watching a movie. This movie has passion, it has the sauce, it checks off the boxes that you want to see in a superhero movie. But yeah, that's all I really have to say. Again, I'm very clueless on DC and Superman in general, but this movie was just so good I had to make a video on it. Because for the first time in a long time, I actually left a superhero movie excited for more.